Hello there, YouTube. Thanks for stopping by the Old Pick Six Podcast YouTube channel. If you want to know when we go live, occasionally it's not exactly at 1 o'clock for various reasons. Turn on the alerts, subscribe, hit the like button. Tell us your favorite thing that's happened in the NFL news cycle lately. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Wednesday, June the 8th. If you are listening to the podcast, if you're watching with us live on YouTube, it's potentially Tuesday, June the 7th. We're going to do some NFL news. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're first time to YouTube, hit subscribe and feel free to turn on alerts. We're going to see, sometimes you get a 30-minute alert, like, hey, these guys are going live in 30 minutes. And then sometimes 45 minutes later, you'll get they are actually live. So highly recommend turning on alerts. Will make your life easier. As you'll notice, it's myself and John Breech here. No Ryan Wilson yet. A surprise plot twist, as it's Ryan Wilson who caused us to be late. A very unusual turn of events. And of course, he heard me blaming him. And read between the lines, bro. What's up, Wilson? Wilson was dealing with something that internal with the company. Some sort of HR violation, I believe.
Yeah, I had to. It was a very serious conversation about some things you've been up to the last few weeks, and I had to be frank with him. So you'll be getting the call.
Okay.
No, our company's doing a migration of our computer system, and it requires a lot of button pushing. And I use
Wilson doesn't do button pushing anymore. He's past that age.
I do not do button pushing anymore. So I had to smash some buttons and try to make this thing work.
I mean, like, this is not a complaint and no mean to like air the the nature of the company, but like we've changed company names. Like we had 3 different company names in the last year, right? Like it's not a big deal. It's just,
has it been 3?
I mean, we went from CBS to Viacom, CBS to Paramount.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
CBS Interactive, and then we're
so basically what Ryan and Brinson are trying to say.
I love Paramount. I like
is that they're all trying to get us all under the Paramount umbrella, and so that was why Ryan was migrating his computer system, and Ryan hasn't updated his computer in 14 years, so I'm sure everything broke down.
Wait, I should probably
here we go.
I should probably use it to upgrade the system, huh?
Yeah, it's up to you.
So do we have a Paramount email address yet?
If Brinson isn't hosting the podcast next week, it's because he refused to migrate over. I could see this.
Wait, do we get an email about migration?
Yes.
I mean, probably.
I've gotten several.
I have not.
And you need to.
I think it's because I don't get emails to my Viacom CBS address.
Maybe they're trying to tell you.
Forward it to me, please, because I need to get off this thing. Seriously, forward it to me real quick.
I can't right now. I'm done mashing buttons. As brief.
Forward me the email, please. I really don't get emails to my Viacom CBS address.
Well, here's the thing, and again, I'm talking to my 15-year-old here. I'm going to forward you the email, but you're not going to read it, so I'm wasting the 15 seconds of forwarding you the email.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to migrate. I want nothing more than to have access to my email and to be able to communicate with people who want to contact me.
Brinson, you don't even use your email.
Yeah,
I mean, I want anything less than that in life.
I'm going to send it to your Viacom email address.
Forward it to his Twitter account. Tweet him the email because that's the only way he'll read it.
Correct, Breech.
Anyway, let's talk some NFL news. Specifically, let's talk about Aaron Donald, who just got a massive extension. It's actually just a reworked contract. They took the old contract, tore it up, and gave him a new contract. And he's going to get more than $31 million per year through 2024, 3 years, $95 million, the largest contract ever for a non-quarterback on a per-year basis, $65 million in guarantees. And it feels like, credit to Todd France of Athletes First for the agent who negotiated the deal. He also has Dak Prescott's deal in hand, so he's had a good 12 months for the old France family. And like, this is basically Aaron Donald was going to retire or maybe consider playing somewhere closer to Pittsburgh. There's a rumor about, but the Rams were like, as it turns out, we have this great Super Bowl window and you're the best player in football. If you take away. Yes, Breech?
I just want to push back real quick on I love that we saw all the, credit the agent for, this was the easiest negotiating in the world. It's Aaron Donald. When we talk about, and not to knock Todd France, got a great contract with Dak Prescott. But, when you talk about let's congratulate agent, congratulate Christian Kirk's agent. That's a contract that came out of nowhere. You can't believe the money he got. when you're representing a future Hall of Famer who has 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, 8 Pro Bowls in 8 seasons, the money, you do the negotiations. The team doesn't negotiate with you. You tell them what you want and they give it to you because they need that player. So yeah, I mean, this is an awesome deal. There's no doubt about that. And Aaron Donald, obviously, like you said, Brinson, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. But, you know, you got to give most of the credit here to Aaron Donald for being so awesome over the past 8 years that the Rams basically had to give him his contract. I feel like
you're basically saying that Todd France is useless in this situation. So
no, I just said he did a fantastic job with Dak Prescott's contract. I'm just saying with Aaron Donald that the contract kind of negotiates itself.
Dunking all over Todd France.
Todd France is a fantastic agent.
I mean, I did
using
this
one
like this is like I mean, there's no funny money to this. It's just a massive, massive contract.
Yeah, but Breech's point is that Aaron Donald is basically Superman. You're going to give Superman whatever he wants, or he walks, and then Metropolis goes into the crapper.
I mean, Aaron Donald didn't miss any time. He got okay, all right, okay. I'm not like saying Todd France, like, you know.
No, Breech hates Todd France, and both things can be true. Breech hates Todd France, and Aaron Donald is great.
See, I do agree. Now you're twisting my words.
I do agree with you that, like, you can tell when they're like a big deal like this. It's like Rap Sheet tweets it out. It's like 4 tweets about Todd France. You know, or like, you know, it's got to be mentioned. Again, credit.
Well, you fell for it. That was the first thing you mentioned.
He got more cash flow than Patrick Mahomes did. Everybody thinks Patrick Mahomes is awesome. Got more cash flow than Deshaun Watson.
Not surprised that Brinson is pro agent here, but
I'm not pro agent here. I'm just saying, like, it's a huge deal for a non-quarterback.
Pro big milk, basically.
Who's the next highest defensive player?
Next highest paid defensive tackle is DeForest Buckner, and then highest paid edge rusher is Khalil Mack at 23.5. DeForest makes 21. I don't know if a cornerback makes more than 23.5 off the top of my head. I don't have that number up. Maybe one just got paid.
I don't think there's a cornerback who makes. J.R. Alexander makes 21.
Okay, so there you go. So 23.5 Khalil Mack, average annual value. Oh, hold on, my bad. No, T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt's at 28.
T.J. Watt's 28. Yeah. Terry Bosa is 27. Myles Garrett's 25.
I didn't sort.
Yeah. I mean, point being is that there you go. Deebo's got all defensive players because Deebo's smarter than we are, or at least works faster. Max Crosby 5th overall. How about that?
Or both.
I mean, that's a pretty substantial.
But does he hate Todd France?
Look, Aaron Donald is not in his prime. I mean, he's not. I mean, he's still playing.
Whoa! I want to hear you tell him that.
Man, so now Brinson is pro agent and anti Aaron Donald. Let's make that known. Aaron Donald is not good. That's what I heard of Brinson's mouth.
Oh my God! I said Aaron Donald should be taken number 1 overall when he was drafted.
You just said he's out of his prime.
He's 31.
Brinson, he just won them the Super Bowl 3 months ago.
Oh my God!
Who'd they beat again?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, he missed. He missed. Oh, and he may have pulled a ham.
Anyway, point being is, yes, they beat the Bengals. Hey, look, Aaron Donald is not in his physical prime. He is.
Says you. Just so we're clear.
Oh my God, he's playing really good football. I'm just saying, like, he's like, they paid TJ Watt is coming into his first contract. My point being is that this is like Aaron Donald's probably last contract or next to last contract of his career, and it's the biggest contract in defensive player history.
Okay.
Like that's a big deal to be 31 and to get a he's 31 years old and he's getting a $31 million plus contract per year. And the whole thing's basically fully guaranteed.
Well, and the crazy thing is that usually when you talk about someone over the age of 30 getting a contract this huge, who's not a quarterback, you're saying, oh, they're overpaid. The team messed up. They're going downhill quickly. That is not the case here. It feels like this was a universally everybody just praised the deal. It was the Rams. They got a bargain here at $30 million, $31 million per year. And Aaron Donald sets records, smashes records with the amount of money he's making. And this feels like one of the rare situations where everyone wins.
Well, and the other thing too is you can't, if you're the Rams and you've taken this, F them picks attitude and you've shoved all in. And look, they've done a great job of drafting talent in the later rounds and supplementing these. It's it's just, I don't want to say stars and scrubs, but I mean, like, they have invested heavily in several key players. And, you hit big old Cooper Kupp is due for an extension. You found these defensive players later in the draft. You found some offensive linemen later in the draft. But, like, you're not winning the Super Bowl again, probably not making it back to the Super Bowl again without Aaron Donald. I mean, that seems fairly safe to say.
Yeah, even though he is, in your words, slipping.
I didn't say he's slipping. I said he is not in his physical prime.
By the way, Cooper Kupp is going to be 29 in a few days. How does that affect his salary?
Is he really going to be 29? That's wild.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know he's that old either. I got to do HQ at 4 p.m. and talk about these topics we're talking about here, which is a nice little practice run. But I was like, God, Cooper Kupp's 29.
I mean, Aaron Donald's won AP Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. He's finished top 3 6 times. He finished top 5 every year of his, every year, but except he's won it 3 times. He won Rookie of the Year his first year. He has finished top 5 of AP Defensive Player of the Year voting every year except for his rookie year, which is also the only year he wasn't a first team All-Pro. He's been a Pro Bowler every single year of his career. He is, as a Super Bowl,
one of just 3 players in NFL history who have defensive players who have been named to the Pro Bowl in each of their first 8 seasons.
And tied all time for most Defensive Player of the Year awards with 3. He's just a absolute monster. It is like it was just like Breech just said, it's like the dude gets him and JJ Watt and LT. I mean, you can make the case that he's the greatest defensive player of all time. I think most traditionalists would probably pick LT. But I wouldn't have a problem if you said Aaron Donald.
But Donald's career is not over yet, Like LT played more than 8 years, like 12 or 13.
Yeah, LT actually fell off right about this time. The difference between Aaron Donald and LT, though, is probably the crack.
Oh, boy.
I mean, that seems fair.
LT did have 6 sacks in his final season. He played 13 years. So if Aaron Donald plays 5 more years and only wins,
like literally, LT was like on crack all the time. I mean, Aaron Donald is like in he's not in his prime, obviously, but he's in peak physical condition.
Are you saying that that's the LT could have been better?
I'm saying that modern medicine and modern athletic training techniques are better than crack.
No, I would agree with that.
You're not a doctor, though, so you can't say that with any confidence.
I am just saying that I don't think.
I don't know, Brinson. I think you would have to do 1 year of modern training techniques and 1 year of crack, and then we'll talk to you in 2 years, and you tell us which year was better.
I did hear somebody argue the other day. It's like, look, did you see what LT did out there on crack? Like, give him some more. Dude,
I was going to say, you don't know. I mean, maybe it'd be terrible without the.
I mean, in theory, okay, you know what? We should probably
basically drinking a Monster drink before
athletic performance on crack.
By the way, one of those years you described, Breech, I think that already transpired during the Miami Super Bowl year. I won't say which year that was for Brinson.
Who's to say about athletic performance, Wilson? No, I mean, like if you look at it, was LT made the All-Pro team every year except one. They also won an MVP in '86, which is just wild. '87, he did not make. Was 87 the strike shortened season? Probably was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So he did not make the All-Pro team that year. And then in 1990, he was a Pro Bowler and had 10.5 sacks. And then he just fell off after the age of 31. But like that's what happened in the late 80s, early 90s. Like Aaron Donald is, even though he's not in his, and he's at the tail end of his physical prime,
now, when Brinson says
saying when I'm talking about the age range, man, come on.
When Brinson says the LT fell off after the age of 31, let me point this out. At age 32, he had 7 sacks in 14 games. Age 33, he had 5 sacks in 9 games. And at age 34, his final season, he still had 6 sacks. So he had 5 or more sacks in these quote unquote fall off seasons. And granted, he obviously was not anywhere near his numbers that he had in his prime. So Brinson is correct to a degree, but there are a lot of defensive players throughout the course of NFL history whose best year would have been one of LT's falling off years.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like modern athletes take care of their bodies better inherently, and they have better travel. I mean, there's all sort of different reasons why modern athletes are able to sustain peak performance later on in their careers. I mean, if you're Aaron Donald, I think he just sort of was like, I think the retirement thing was legit just because he was like, I won a Super Bowl. I basically had this perfect career. Like the one blemish is that I didn't make all pro of my rookie year. Like I won defensive rookie of the year. Maybe I walk away and it's just this, I did it all. And then the Rams were like, how about $65 million? And it's easy to come back for that. Sort of like these guys that left for the Saudi golf tour.
How do you pronounce LIV? Is it LIV or do you just call it Live?
I believe Live was the Miami Super Bowl. They tied it all together here. I think it's I don't know, Live tour, I guess. I mean, Kevin Na got $40 million.
I know, sure. I'm not following it closely. I was just reading up on it yesterday. I'm not sure how the making money thing works, but if it's all just oil money, it may not matter that you make money.
No, he got $40 million to come over.
No, I understand that, but the overall organization, how are they making money? Like the PGA Tour makes money.
I don't think they are.
That's my point.
I think they're just I think it's called is it sports scrubbing? Is that the term?
I don't know. What does that mean?
It's where you use sports to make it.
Oh, I see. To scrub human rights violations.
Yeah, you're sort of like, hey, look at our golf tournament.
Well, hey, I mean, Mickelson
Maybe
said the quiet part
I don't know. I mean, who knows?
Mickelson said the quiet part out loud, got in trouble for it.
So, yeah, I mean, Phil Mickelson got $200 million. DJ got $150. And they all, I mean, yeah, and they're all getting to play next week in the U.S. Open. Anyway, I mean, like the point being is, it's like everyone's like, you know what? I think I want to do this. And then somebody's like, how about $40 million? You're like, you know what? I'm going to do the other thing instead. Like 40, Aaron Donald's like, I'm going to retire. They're like, how does $65 million guaranteed sound? He's like, I do love playing football. Let's run this.
You know who said it best? The $1 Million Man.
What he said.
Everyone has a price.
Sure.
$1 Million Man said that?
Yeah, that's his line, man.
I think it was said long before Ted DiBiase.
No, that was Ted DiBiase's line.
Oh, I thought you meant the $1 Million Man, the television show with
No,
the guy
Ted
that
DiBiase. Money, 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 money.
Lee Majors was the $1 Million Man.
You won't believe this, but
Everybody's got
who
it
actually
right.
said it before Ted DiBiase?
Oh, you're looking up fake stuff, so
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah. Is he scarier than DiBiase? I don't think so.
Breeches like everyone has a price.
Brinson, let's see what Brinson has brought up so far on this podcast. Crack cocaine, Pablo Escobar, and human rights violations being committed by the golf tournament in London, whatever.
I mean, you're the one who's like, you're
on a roll, man.
I think he's trying to slowly pave the way for the announcement that he's going to be the new blogger for the Live Tour.
Hell yeah, send me everything.
And that they gave him $75 million to host a daily podcast, even though there's only 9 tournaments.
That he shows up for twice a week. Yeah,
it's like I love like Breech is like, now you know who once said success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. That was, of course, Macho Man Randy Savage. Like. Actually, I think Winston Churchill said it first, Breech, but sure, whatever works for you.
They said it.
They were inspired by Macho Man.
He's like, yeah, of course, as everyone knows, a quote that Ted DiBiase made famous in the 1990s as a wrestler.
Oh, that's Breech 20 years ago at the bar, writing those things on his hand and looking at his hand on the right side and talking to the girl on his left.
He's like, as I once famously quoted, everyone has a price.
This is me quoting Ted DiBiase, quoting Pablo Escobar.
That's you're like
the old Michael Scott.
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm laughing quickly because I don't know if you guys saw that Najee Harris is 244. And
did you see the tweets he sent to like?
I saw the tweets that he sent, but today he was talking to the media and he said, "Y'all making it seem like I'm fat as hell." He looks the same. I think that
he's like, man, he's like, some of these writers are stupid. He's like, they're just making stuff up. He's like, I was 240 all last year.
Well, the issue was that in the guide, the whatchamacallit, the Steelers thing they passed out before the games, he weighed 232 in that thing. So I think that's what they were looking at to compare it to. So the real issue is with whoever put that into the pregame thing.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, more NFL news next.
I'm not comfortable living in a hot dog. It's still way better than your house, kitty. I can't do this anymore, Mom. If you won't listen to me, then I really don't have a choice.
So you're running away?
South Park, The Streaming Wars, now streaming.
Okay, well, I'll see ya.
Bye, honey.
Cute.
Exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Deebo Samuel. Trying as hard as I can not to talk about that commercial. Deebo Samuel. Actually, we didn't even talk about what the Aaron Donald thing means for the overall market. Do you think
Nothing.
What do you think people will fly past 31? I don't know that that's going to happen right
Fly?
away.
No. First of all, he plays defensive tackle. Who is playing defensive tackle is going to fly past $31 million?
Well, I think that is the next edge rusher who gets paid going to get more than 31?
Well, what would we say? 28 for TJ. So yeah, I mean, you're sniffing around that. I don't know who's next in line. Who's next to get paid, Breech?
Bosa.
Younger
right,
Bosa.
Yeah, according to Spot Track, who does their sort of market valuations, he's like at 24 or something.
That's
So-
too low. He'll get more than that. Chase Young.
Chase Young is hurt. I mean, just coming off an injury.
Well,
right?
but if Chase Young has a big year this year, he'll get, Josh
It is
Allen
one
with
of those-
Jaguars.
I don't think anyone's going to go out there and top Aaron Donald's number. I feel like this is kind of like the Patrick Mahomes contract in the sense that it was so astronomical that it took 2 or 3 years for the market to catch up to it. So obviously, TJ Watt got close, was 28 million. I do not think we'll see anybody hit 30 million this offseason, but maybe 1 or 2 years down the road, we'll see. Because, it's hard to argue that you deserve more money than Aaron Donald. The team, when they negotiate, is just going to be like, well, he's literally the best defensive player of all time. You show us that kind of production, and we'll give you $30 million per year.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes is already the third highest paid quarterback, but
Right, and I'm saying it took 3 years for that to happen.
and
He
Josh
was-
Allen came in under
3
him.
years. He didn't get that contract 3 years ago.
when he signed that contract,
Well, his last offseason, wasn't it?
his 10-year.
2 off seasons ago. It
Was it 2?
It's got to be at least 2. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was
Josh
2020.
Allen signed last offseason, right?
Okay, man.
Right?
Times are flying by.
This stuff is just it's been blending together for like 6 years. It was just like 6 years of mush in my head.
Yeah, so it held up pretty strongly for 2 years, and then you have guys coming in.
I think the way to look at it is like you're looking for edge rushers who will top that. Max Crosby was a later round pick and got 23.5. I guess he got held out for more. Harold Landry got 17.5. And I'm just naming some guys who got recent contracts here. The guys who I'm looking at that might be able to top it would be, or get around in that $30 million range. And I don't think they would go above Aaron Donald, but get around in that $30 million range, like above TJ Watt. You could look at, he would need both guys would need a big season, but like Bradley Chubb is up for a deal. Chase Young, Brian Burns is certainly going to command a lot of money. I don't know.
None of those guys are getting 30 million though.
I mean, you're not what do you mean? Josh Allen of the Jaguars?
He's not getting 30. He's not.
No.
Yeah, he's not
And
getting
actually
30
just
million.
look
Anywhere close to 30 million.
the Spot Track
You're getting 25, right?
The Spot Track market valuation for
Doesn't
Bosa
matter.
is 19. I'm just telling you the sort of. Let me put it to you this way: they're a lot closer to getting 19.2 than they are to getting to 32.
I would disagree with that.
And well, real quick with Mahomes' contract, the only 2 people that surpassed him are Deshaun Watson, who hasn't been paid $1 yet, and obviously that one's iffy and up in the air. And then obviously Aaron Rodgers, and it took 2 straight MVP seasons, so exceptional circumstances. And so that's why I think, if somebody comes out and breaks the sack record in the next year or this upcoming season, and then they have a contract coming up, boom, then you say, all right, you need to give me $31 million a year. But I think it's just going to take, it'll be 2 or 3 years before we
And
see
this isn't like the quarterback position where you automatically get whatever the highest number is.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, that happened with the wide receivers. Like AJ Brown gets 25 million, and I don't know if he wanted more than that. I'm guessing he did, but he signed pretty quickly because he's currently 4th behind Tyreek, Devontae, Hopkins, and then he's there just above.
But even at the QB position, again, Mahomes' number, you had, like you guys said, Josh Allen came in under it. Dak Prescott came in under it. Matthew Stafford, with his recent extension, came in under it. So it's still a difficult number to top.
Yes, I'm just looking at recent. You just need some guy like There haven't been a ton of, again, like Chase Young, if he has a monster season, could top it. Nick Bosa will
No, he
get.
couldn't. He's coming off an ACL. If he gets 30 sacks, he'll top it. Otherwise, he's just he'll get something much
Nick Bosa is going to get $30 million range.
No, he won't.
Nick Bosa will top TJ Watt.
I think you
No.
top. Well, you can top TJ Watt without hitting 30 million.
Sure.
Yeah, but he's going to top TJ Watt based on what? I mean, his numbers have been good.
He's freaking awesome.
His numbers have been good, but not great. He's had
What?
an ACL as well.
Good, but not great. What do you,
Yeah. I mean, I know Aaron Donald's over the hill in your mind, but Nick Bosa is no Aaron Donald, sir.
I mean, he led the league in tackles for loss last year and had 15 and a half sacks. It was the defensive rookie of the year, his first season, and tore his ACL in a fluke incident where all the 49ers did, having to play back-to-back games at MetLife Stadium in 2020.
Well, I don't dispute the fact that the field conditions were at issue, but the fact is he still got hurt. Yeah, no, he has 2 years of productivity. That's $30 million worth if he has another.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting 30 million. I do agree with Brinson, who made two statements. He gets more than 30 million, gets more than TJ Watt. I think one of those will be true. I think he gets like 28.5.
That's
I don't know why you would pay him 28.5, but I mean, look at the other guys on that list: Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett, Khalil Mack.
You literally named one of his brother. Like you named
his brother is better than he is. Is anyone arguing that?
I don't. I mean,
and he's played longer and he's got more productivity. That's my point. Those three guys that I just mentioned, those guys are insanely athletic. And then
I think that the first 3 years of Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa are very comparable.
Is he better than Max Crosby?
I would take Nick Bosa over Max Crosby all day. And
Would
I
you,
like
Breech? I wouldn't.
What?
Oh,
No. Max
Crosby's underrated.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
didn't say that he wasn't good. I said I'd take Nick
And
Bosa.
he got 23.5 on a deal he just signed. So
This thrashing, you would just hate the 49ers.
I know.
What?
This is
Wilson?
unacceptable thrashing of Nick
No,
Bosa.
I'm just being reasonable. This is
Can't wait till I hope the 49ers play the Steelers next year.
Wilson, do you hate the 49ers?
Kenny Pickett has both arms torn off by Nick Bosa.
okay. And while Nick Bosa's making $26 million a year, okay, fine.
Kenny Pickett won't get his second contract because
Yeah, and Bosa will be banned from the NFL for life if he tears off someone's arm. So there's like,
Yeah,
they both.
no contract, bro.
No, I don't think your contracts are guaranteed for being banned for life.
What is he, a
All right,
bear?
there's just no one from 2021 that stands out. Again, Chase Young for 2020 and Bosa from 2019 are the two guys that Rashawn Gary will get a big contract, but not
Rashawn Gary, I think, will get more than the names you previously mentioned. That's a good call, actually. That's the best call you've made.
And who I mentioned, Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
What?
I'm telling you, just watch it. Write that down, Breech, not in pencil.
Rashawn Gary will get above 25 million.
Okay. That's not going out on much of a limb. I'm making a bold statement.
Nuts. Bradley Chubb will get paid too, but not quite that much.
Yeah, he'll get paid to go back and be the academic advisor at NC State.
That'd be great. Josh, I think you're sleeping on Josh Allen too.
I'm not sleeping on any of these guys. They're going to get paid, but you're talking about north of TJ Watt money, which I think is a stretch. That's all I'm saying. Because again, these aren't quarterbacks.
They're counting Josh Allen as a linebacker too. On the side of
Well, edge rusher. Same. I think that's the same.
No, I was just looking at I wanted it listed by.
Oh, you mean in spot track?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I missed anybody who. No, I'm looking on I was just sorting draft, like recently drafted players.
Oh,
I got one for you that we missed because of the linebacker position. Who will, if he continues, Micah Parsons.
Well, yeah, we got to wait for that though. He's only
got 2 more years before. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Now that's the smartest thing you've said. And how long we've been talking? 20.
But who's the highest paid linebacker?
Darius
No,
Leonard.
but they're playing him at edge. He'll
It
get
is
edge.
okay. Well, I mean,
What's Darius Leonard making?
19.7.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Josh Allen and Brian Burns are gonna be in that $25+ million range.
We'll see.
And if Micah Parsons does end up being the guy that breaks it, then boom, my guess in theory stands because he can't negotiate his contract for 2 more seasons. And that means Donald's number stands for 2 more years.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't disagree with that.
Roasted or whatever.
Brinson's such a sensationalist league. He's trying to make everyone into the next Aaron Donald.
I'm not
He's
making anybody the next Aaron Donald. I mean, Josh Allen has 20 and a half sacks in his first 3 years, and they added.
How many did TJ Watt have last year? 22 and a half. And he makes 28 million. 2 million less than Aaron Donald. And you're trying to make all these guys.
I mean, in his 5th year, yeah, that's why he got you get paid.
Okay, well, you're trying to
If they paid him after his 3rd year, he wouldn't be getting paid as much.
That's how math works, correct?
Oh my God, I hate you so much. So back to Deebo Samuel.
So anyway, it won't impact the overall market because no one else is Aaron Donald.
Yeah, which is what we said 15 minutes ago.
Deebo Samuel will attend mandatory minicamp. Jimmy G has been excused. Well, he still continues to recover because they don't want to make it awkward, I guess. I don't really get it.
He's hanging out with Baker Mayfield at the Malibu mansion.
Yeah, Baker's never playing a snap for the. There's like people are like, well, if Deshaun's suspended, you just play Baker. It's like, no, Baker doesn't want to play for the Browns.
Well, after they see Jacoby Brissett, they might try to talk Baker back to coming back. It depends.
We'll get to Watson in a second, actually. Ethan Miller in the chat. This feels like I just walked into a couples counseling session. Feel the way too.
No yelling though, so that's good progress.
Speaking of Nick Bosa, are we buying or selling the 49ers this year?
I thought we were talking Deebo.
Yeah, speaking of Deebo, speaking of Nick Bosa, speaking of Jimmy G.
No, of course I have the winning.
It sounds like Jimmy. If Deebo's attending mandatory minicamp, he's not going to hold out, and they're going to get a deal done. I don't think he's going to get traded.
Yeah, I bet he gets AJ Brown money. That feels about right. $25 million a year. I don't know how he feels about that, but I would pay him. And there was some. I don't understand why people were like, "Well, he's okay, but he's not great because he also runs the ball." I think that makes him even more valuable in that offense. He can't do those things elsewhere. Because remember, the Jets wanted to trade for him. I don't know if it was for that number 10 pick.
I mean, I really would like to point out that the problem here that developed was the DeAndre Hopkins contract, in which he was given the extension with like the modified funny money that bumped his average annual value up to $27.25 million. But he only had $49 million in guaranteed and $42 million in fully guaranteed. Excuse me, $49 million total guaranteed. Basically, it was an incorrect. Like, I mean, technically, it was $27.5 million or whatever it is, or $27.25. And that Devontae Adams was like, "I'm not taking less than that." So the Packers had, or the Raiders, and the Packers had to inflate the average, use funny money to get him above 27.25. And then Tyreek Hill's like, "I'm not taking less than Devontae Adams." So the Dolphins had to get him to 30. And so all these guys who are getting extensions, like whether it's AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp's looking for one. You've got, of course, Deebo Samuel. All these younger guys who are looking for extensions are telling their agents like, "Yo, like that's $30 million is the going rate for wide receivers," but it's not. It's really more like AJ Brown money. Like if you're Deebo Samuel and you're going into, and you're coming off your third year, and you have Deebo doesn't have a fifth-year option, but there are two franchise tags they can utilize. You want to be taking the AJ Brown money, like that's good money, and you can then renegotiate later down the road. The top three guys here are sort of, it's conflated a little bit by experience, the trade factor, and then the DeAndre Hopkins contract. Like that, the Hopkins contract screwed over the wide receiver market basically.
Right, and you mentioning Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins can get out of that contract after 4 years and $95 million, which is basically just under $25 million a year. And so, like you said, the receivers see, no, I want $30 million a year because that's what Tyreek Hill got, when in fact he got something closer to $25 million a year, unless the Dolphins pay him a $43 million base salary in 2026, which
they're just simply not going to do.
Highly unlikely. And the weird thing with the Deebo Samuel negotiations, if it's true that he does not want to, if he wants to cut down on his carries as a running back and someone who gets handed the ball, does that impact his negotiation? So that is something that the agent, the team, the player are going to have to figure out, where the team says, "Hey, we would have given him $26 million a year, but now we only give him 21 because he's not going to do everything we like him to do. And he's not this utility guy that we envision him being the last 2 years, or that we had him as the last 2 years." So I think that is kind of the wild card in this Deebo negotiation that you didn't really have with all these other receivers.
This is a good note from Over the Cap on Tyreek Hill's. The final year of the contract is effectively a void year used to inflate the annual value of the contract from $25 million per year to $30 million per year. Like his contract is just $25 million per year, but he had to get 30 because he needed, the agent. I think it was Rosenhaus is this guy he wanted 30. You got to get 30, and it's just silly. Like,
well, the Dolphins probably said, "Yeah, let's put that year there because
you want 30.
We can prorate the signing bonus another year, and then you pick the number as the base salary because you're never going to get it."
I didn't even realize Tyreek Hill's he has no guaranteed salary after 2023.
Yeah, because by then they know he's going to want to go back to Kansas City. So there's an option to try to run back.
They can basically get out of his deal after 2 years. That's crazy. And it's just I don't understand why. I mean, I understand the competitive nature of wanting to be the highest paid player at your position, but like, I don't know, man. Give me the fully guaranteed 3-year deal over 5 years of funky money.
I don't know. If you do want to be the highest paid sports podcast host, or do you want to just have 3 years of guaranteed middle of the road podcast?
No, I don't want. I want to be the highest paid, but
there you go. There you go. You answered.
I'll take $25 million guaranteed over 3 years versus whatever Tyreek Hill has. Although he probably gets that $25 million over 3 years anyway. I'm just saying, a little cleaner. Get out easier. Right. I saw the 49ers this year.
I've been winning 8 football games. Breech, did we talk about the NFC West?
We did on Friday. We can just rerun that.
Yeah, let me go check my notes because
I'm looking at my notes right now. Wilson has them hitting the under. I have them hitting the over.
What was the over under again?
8.5 or 9.5. 9.5 probably.
Yeah, I don't remember.
10.
10.
10.
Oh yeah, way under that number. Come on now.
It's weird how the market's valuing the 49ers. Like they are 5th or 6th in terms of Super Bowl odds. Their over under is 10 wins. I mean, they have a good roster, but they just lost Alex Mack, who retired. That's a huge loss. He's massive for that run game.
Well, I mean, the biggest issue was what?
The quarterback position.
Right. And I know that fantasy apparently is high on Trey Lance.
Everyone loves Trey Lance. Everybody thinks Trey Lance is going to be a monster. And he might be.
Do we know why, though? Like, what precipitated that?
He's just athletic and can run. And
okay. Well, played 2 games last year, and it wasn't exactly setting the world on fire.
No, I mean, he's not very accurate. And he's only thrown like 318 passes since in the last 4 years or something.
I mean, the crazy thing is
I still think that they should have they shouldn't be 16-1 to win the Super Bowl.
But if you think Trey Lance is just as good or can be just as good as Jimmy Garoppolo, well, that was an NFC Championship team last year. If you think Trey Lance is a slight step above Jimmy Garoppolo, then there's and again, that's what it comes down to is what you think of Trey Lance. But like you guys are saying, there's been no proof. We have no evidence that this guy is going to go in there and tear teams apart and throw for 4,000 yards and rush for 800 yards and total 38 touchdowns. We just don't know that. So that's what makes the 49ers prediction impossible. Because if he goes out there and falls flat on his face the first 4 games, the fans will be like, yo, Kyle, why do we get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo? And what the heck are we doing here? So
now I do think he's an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo in the long term. And the long term might even just be like by Thanksgiving. But and that team did win 10 games last year and they made it to the playoffs. So there's something to be said for that. And should have gone to the Super Bowl if not for the play that we're no longer allowed to talk about in this podcast because it makes Brinson uncomfortable.
It made me uncomfortable that talking about Jaquiski Tartt dropping the football that allowed Matthew Stafford to beat the 49ers and go on to beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Oh, we missed!
I should have said the first half makes you uncomfortable. The second half makes Breech incredibly uncomfortable. But no,
Breech got like a kill count set up in his office. It's like every time I say something, he presses a button. It's like once I get to 1,000 this offseason, he has me assassinated.
What that Jaquiski Tartt drop ruined my 2010 prediction that the Bengals and 49ers would be playing the Super Bowl in 2022.
Oh,
also,
right.
I had an 85-1 bet on the Bengals.
And Brinson had 85-1 bet. Yeah, I
would actually prefer the Niners in the Super Bowl, to be perfectly honest.
But the thing, and this is more directed towards myself, I don't give them enough credit for being as scrappy as they were. And maybe they're scrappier with Trey Lance, who, as I just said, I think it's an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo at some point. But I don't know, man. That division is incredibly tough. And there's not a lot of other competition. I mean, there's the Cowboys and the Packers and the Buccaneers. I just think it's, to your point, Brinson, 16-1 for Super Bowl. That seems like insanely high to me.
I think probably what's going on is a fear from the sports books of being torched if Trey Lance is indeed awesome.
Who's taking the 16-1 though? I guess folks.
A lot of people.
Like if they were 30-1.
Right. No, I get that part.
And the NFC's watered down. You know, Kyle Shanahan has been to the multiple NFC championship.
Well, I mean, it's watered down compared to the AFC. It's not necessarily watered down. The NFC West is hard, and then the other 3 teams I mentioned, that's a lot to go through to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think the odds are too short. I agree. I wouldn't bet it. If they were 30-1, I'd be sledgehammering it though. So I mean, I guess I understand what they're doing, but it just seems like.
What about this? Odds to win more games, or who are you taking? You can set the odds. Eagles or 49ers?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think I'd take the Eagles. And no, Deebo's not pointing a gun to my head just off camera.
Debo, what do you think?
Well, we know what he's going to say. Come on.
49ers.
Stop it.
What?
He's doing the reverse jinx.
I mean, they were in the NFC Championship last year. They have most of the same cast and have a much better coach.
Yeah.
I'm
Much
excited
better?
about the Eagles, but I'm trying to be more realistic maybe this year.
Also, the NFC West plays the NFC South and the AFC West.
I mean, you can't that argue the Eagles have a
Eagles have a
super
better schedule.
easy schedule. Yeah.
And they travel millions fewer miles, Breech. Is that
It's
right?
also possible the Cardinals suck and the Seahawks could be god awful this year.
Yeah.
Like,
I-
I'm basing the Cardinals sucking entirely on the fact that PFF had Cliff Kingsbury as the fourth best coach in football.
Breech did make this point now. I remember that we did talk about the NFC West. He said and I agree, the easiest money on planet Earth. Remember what it is, Breech?
The Rams to win the division?
Plus 135.
Plus
And,
135.
I mean, that's stealing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Unless Trey Lance takes some massive leap.
I mean, he has to take a Herculean leap. I mean,
Yeah.
look, you can lean on the running game, but how far is the running game going to get you? Well, I mean, he almost got to the Super Bowl, so maybe I should.
I mean, I tell you, losing Alex Mack is a big deal.
That is a big deal. One of those underrated things that, we didn't know about this till literally Friday. All season was flip-flop. Will he come back? Will he not? And, losing your starting center in a Kyle Shanahan offense. There's a reason Kyle Shanahan made sure Alex Mack was with him at his last 3 stops in Cleveland, in Atlanta, in San Francisco, because he knows how vital Mack was. So that will be interesting.
I mean,
So
the Browns were the first place in like week 10 in the AFC North with Brian Hoyer starting for him, and then Alex Mack broke his leg.
So Jake Brendel is now at the top of the depth chart in San Francisco as a center. They drafted Donovan West out of Arizona, who's a sort of zone read guy.
Offensive line, even with potential MVP candidate Trent Williams, is a little bit less.
And the left guard is Aaron Banks, who was a second-round pick last year. He played like 5 or 6 snaps all season last year, so he's unproven. He was good coming out of Notre Dame, but so those are 2 pretty big question marks on the interior of that defense.
Offense, but yes.
Offense, yeah. They'll be playing
Okay.
defense when the turnovers happen.
Deshaun Watson facing a 24th lawsuit. Breech, why don't you describe the specifics of what this lawsuit said to us?
Well, it's pretty rough for a couple reasons, because it's somebody that Watson's camp and his defense team didn't know about beforehand. They released a statement.
Oh, this is a new one, huh?
Right. So you
I
would think,
read the specifics of this. It's not great.
yeah, it's basically.
It sounds fairly similar to.
All right, let him talk. You want to talk? Let's hear it.
I
you want to be on
do
record?
we actually want the specifics?
No.
He's trying to get you in trouble.
Basically, Watson made this woman very uncomfortable by touching himself in front of her, and going even further than that.
Going to completion, in fact, in front of her.
Yes. And so, and like I said, you would think that Watson had revealed all the names to his lawyer. Hey, these are people that might file lawsuits against us. So the fact that there's a new one that they're not aware of kind of throws a wrench in things. It makes you think, is this now, the NFL was saying, hey, our investigation's almost over. Now you have to look into this, because if Watson's defense team didn't know, it's just all
If you're the
crazy.
Browns and you're Watson's defense team, you're like, hey, buddy, are there 25? Are there 40? Like, you need to.
Right.
And also, what happens if the NFL comes down with a suspension and then 2 more names come out? Then what? do you do?
I was talking about this with our buddy Adam Gold on Monday, because he was asking me what I think the NFL will do. I think the NFL will do one of 2 things. I think they will either suspend Deshaun Watson for the entire 2022 NFL season.
Is this just your gut? Are you?
This is just my gut feeling.
Mhm.
Or they will suspend Deshaun Watson for somewhere between 6 and 8 games for the 2022 NFL season. And note very
Clearly.
very clearly, like state it very like over the top, that future punishment remains on the table pending a full investigation, because I really don't think that they want him playing this whole season under the cloud of this investigation.
And another thing real quick, and this is what Mike Florio noted, Pro Football Talk on Monday, I think, that in Watson's contract, he basically filed a written disclosure with the team and said, I can't be double jeopardy for it. So these are the cases where my money cannot be guaranteed. But if new cases that are not included, and we don't know, maybe Watson wrote this person's name, because it doesn't mean he wrote 22 names. He could have written 35 names. We don't know how many names he has in there. But if this woman's name is not in the disclosure and he were to lose the case, then his guarantees could potentially become voided.
Yes. And allegedly he may have, again, we don't know if he's guilty or not, but allegedly he may have forgotten some names.
Right, exactly. And reading this, because I wrote the story on this on Monday, and just kind of reading the lawsuit and where this is all going. And look, Ben Roethlisberger was 2 sexual assault accusations, no criminal charges, got suspended 6 games, and it got trimmed down to 4 games on appeal. Now that was 12 years ago, by the way. That was 12 years ago, and society has come a long way in those 12 years.
Ben ain't getting 6-4 because we covered that for Fan House. Like, it ain't going 6-4 based on
right and now you're talking about 24 accusations. And let's say you're a Browns fan who's defending Deshaun Watson. You say, if you don't believe 50% of these women, you still have 12 accusations on the table. Like, it's such an incredible number that I agree with you, Brinson. I think the punishment here, and this is just, again, conjecture, just a guess based on everything that we've read and seen. These lawsuits, a lot of them are pretty detailed. This 24th one is very detailed, is that I do think that the suspension is going to say you're suspended indefinitely with a chance for you can come back after 1 year if you come plead your case to Roger Goodell. I'll be surprised. Now, I thought that 8 games seemed like the minimum, but I feel like a year seems like what it's going to be now.
Now, the other thing they could do too is if the NFL, because I really feel like the NFL wants to have something out there. And remember, it's not going to be Goodell who hears it's a former U.S. attorney, I believe, or a former district judge or something. I saw where's Peter King?
Well, and while you're getting that, Ryan just dropped this in from the Albert Breer saying the 24th lawsuit against Deshaun was a bit of a surprise to the NFL and possibly the Browns. And so if it was a surprise to the NFL, he loses credibility
with the league and with his team,
because they're going to say, well, you weren't forthcoming, because I'm sure they asked him if there were any other cases out there. And if he either misled them or flat out lied to them, that's going to be a giant red flag.
And again, if you say something like, oh, I forgot about that person, that also does not help your case.
Like, there's so many people that you forgot about people. And so this is just not a good look. I mean, it hasn't been a good look, and now it's gotten worse.
Peter King did the 22 most, or I guess 23 if you count Aiden Hutchinson, which is 23 most influential people in the NFL. And honorable mention, first one was Sue L. Robinson, retired former U.S. District Court judge who will hear the Deshaun Watson discipline case once the NFL investigation into Watson's behavior is complete. Like, you're getting a former U.S. District Court judge, a former female U.S. District Court judge, who's going to hear this case based on what the NFL, the evidence, the information that the NFL has gathered. Like, this dude is not getting off of the 2-game suspension. She is going to hammer him if it looks like he is guilty, and especially if it looks like these cases keep popping up. Like,
do you think Jimmy Haslam, Dee Haslam, Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, where are they at on the regret meter right now?
Like
is it 0 or is it
12.5 out of 10?
I think Haslam is 12.5 out of 10 because he had to sign off on this. But if this 24th case is the one that allows the Browns to void their contract, then they're like, we dodged a bullet.
They can just undo everything. Picks back.
What?
Yeah, there's still a lot of PR.
No, it's a PR nightmare, but you don't lose $230 million.
I'm just talking about the whole
3 first-round picks.
Right. You're setting back the organization.
And Baker's like, I'm out.
Like, it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster.
You're just the Browns again. Like, you went from being like, oh, we fixed the Browns to, no, you're just still the Browns.
And Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam, are 100,000 out of 10 on the disaster scale. If you're Kevin Stefanski, you're just like, hey, They asked me, and I just said, do whatever you want, and I'll coach.
Right.
It's like you can play plausible deniability.
You're Kevin Stefanski, you're like, I'm getting a new boss soon because Andrew Berry's getting fired.
I don't know the particulars, and I'm guessing you're just speculating too, Breech, but it feels like Andrew Berry was clearly driving this train, and then Kevin Stefanski seems like the way when he talks to the media that he wasn't necessarily involved with the decisions early on. He very well may have been, but to your point, I'm acting like, oh my God, what's going on here? I was just coaching football, and now things have gone sideways in the most Brownsian way ever. And our quarterback is Jacoby frickin' Brissett.
So, yeah, lots to still unfold in the Deshaun Watson case. Let's quickly get to, speaking of owners. So David Tepper, I didn't realize exactly just how much more money David Tepper had than the next richest owner.
I think he's the richest owner, right?
Oh, by far. But yeah, it's like crazy. Like
who's number 2? Like Kroenke?
It's Kroenke and
if
Tepper
you
has
read
like
my
7
story on the NFL's richest owners from April.
No, we actually read that in a car ride because I was having the debate. I was like, I don't think he's like that much richer. And I just didn't, really. And we were looking at it. It was like, yeah, he's like, oh, but Brimby, you wrote the story, Brinson. Like, no, it's Breech. It was like, yeah, that checks out.
Oh wow.
But so Walton, is it Sam Bill? What's it? Rob Walton.
What's he on?
One of the Walmart billionaires, and there's 3 of them in the top 15 in the world in terms of richest people. Three Waltons. Rob. Yeah, so David Tepper has like $16.6 billion to his name. He's the richest owner in the NFL by a wide margin.
But refuses to put grass into the stadium. Okay, go ahead.
So David Tepper's worth
it won't stroke a check to like get this gambling bill passed in North Carolina.
And real quick, Brinson's point, the Tepper's worth over $16 billion. It's been fluctuating up and down for the past 2 months.
Yes.
There is no other owner in the NFL worth more than $11 billion. Yes. So he is at least $5 billion ahead of the closest person.
Right. He's like 14 Mark or 10 Mark Davis is richer than the next closest owner. And Rob Walton, who is getting set to buy the Broncos, is worth $60 billion. 60.
Oh, that's where I saw the name. The Walmart's buying the Broncos.
Walmart's, and there are 3 Waltons worth $60 billion apiece.
You know who was in the preliminary running to buy the Broncos? Todd Bowley. You know Todd Bowley?
And then he bought Chelsea.
Oh.
And was like, I just spent $5.2 billion. I probably should.
Todd Bowley is 48 years old. And
isn't he your boy? Isn't your homeboy from William Mary?
Fraternity brother of Ryan Wilson.
Really?
Can you get him on the podcast?
Oh, no, I haven't talked to him in 30 years.
But if you called him tomorrow and asked him on the podcast, what would he say?
Who is this?
Yeah,
that's what he.
What if you said William Mary?
No, he would know who I was once I explained it, but we weren't close at the time.
Did you drop like a secret handshake on him?
I could drop that stupid ass handshake on him, and that might get me immediately punched in the face.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing, guy?
Yeah, but anyway, so again, I'm last in the league when it comes to William Mary graduates from the class of mid-90s.
You're on a podcast with us. I'd say that puts you up high.
You're not last.
We're good guys.
Yeah, there's one other.
You're like last of the successful people.
There's one other one that's doing way worse than me. Fair enough.
Brinson.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
Brinson likes a school that produces cheese rolling winners.
Hey, how about that though?
It sounded like you said cheese.
Put a statue up, baby.
It sounded like you said cheese rolling wieners. You're a cheese rolling.
So to Brinson's point, though, to finish his thought, Rob Walton is worth roughly $60 billion. Fluctuates with the stock market, and so he is. We just told you how much richer David Tepper is worth than everyone else, and he is almost 4 times more money than David Tepper.
So I'm going down the list here. So Kroenke is like his wife is worth more than he is too. What does his wife do again, Breech? Do you remember?
She is Ann Walton, who is
Rob
Walton's cousin.
There you go. I think
so Rob Walton's dad is Sam Walton, who founded Walmart. Ann Walton's dad is Bud Walton, who was the co-founder of Walmart, and Sam Walton's brother.
Nice. Okay. And then Jerry Jones, I think his is mostly oil money, like real estate, probably something like that.
Yeah. And now the Cowboys. I mean, a lot of his the Cowboys.
And the Kroenke family
and oh God, what's the
Ann and Stan put together have a net worth of just under $20 billion. But she is not part of she wants nothing to do with the ownership part of the Rams. You know, like there's like a Kim Pagula plays is a very active owner for the Bills, but not every wife wants something to do with ownership. Ann Walton is just sits in the background.
Right.
Well, and also with the Kroenkes, there's like a little bit of separation of church and state because you can't own multiple sports franchises if you're an NFL owner. And so Stan had
Robert Kraft does.
What else does he own?
He owns the MLS New England Revolution.
Maybe they made an exception for that, but for his NLS. I was just saying, like the Stan Kroenke owned the Denver Nuggets, but was forced to divest his shares, I believe. Or maybe you can't be a majority owner in two sports.
I think they got rid of that rule.
I was gonna say because
I don't think they did. I just don't know what year. I'm trying to look for it right now. They definitely got rid of it.
Brinson's on the Pelicans as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't Loomis double dip on that?
Yeah, that's right. They did.
And the Pagula's own the hockey
2018,
team.
October 2018. They got rid of the rule
because a lot of these guys own multiple teams.
They may have gotten rid of it for Stan Kroenke. Yeah. But the Bensons have owned the Pelicans. Maybe when did they buy the Pelicans?
I don't know. I just know the Mickey Loomis connection. I know that the Pagula's
David Tepper owns Charlotte FC too.
Yeah. Again, no grass. I was just going down the list here trying to see. Like Jimmy Haslam's money is the truck business. Shad Khan sort of self-made. I don't remember what he did. Arthur Blank is Home Depot. I don't know what the Pagulas do. Dan Snyder started like this communications thing. He's terrible at communicating, ironically enough.
Yeah, Benson bought the Pelicans in like 2012.
Well, and the rule when the rule was in place, the rule was that you could not own another sports franchise that was in a market with an NFL team. So since Benson owned the Saints,
that's
challenging himself. So you were allowed to. He's allowed to own.
Couldn't buy the Rams if he owned the Nuggets, who are in the same market as the Broncos.
Right, but if he had been the Broncos owner, he could have bought
the Nuggets,
right. Which is the New England Revolution connection for.
I was wondering about that. I knew there's something.
Bobby Kraft. All right.
Okay, that's enough football talk for today. Everybody's talking about Benson. Benson's still like that,
Great TV show. Robert Guillaume. Nothing.
Indeed. No business. By the way, the Zach Keefer just tweets out just a note. Update from the Colts on Darius Leonard. No second surgery on his ankle, but he has been having back issues that require surgery. Operation is today. Will miss some camp time, but the team's expectation is he's ready for the regular season. That's kind of a big deal.
Not great.
And Sean McVay said rookie running back Kyron Williams, their 5th round pick out of Notre Dame, broke his foot during practice. Expected to be back by training camp.
Okay, well, that's good. Doesn't sound like a list rank then. That's good.
Worth noting. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Breech, for Wilson, I'm Brinson. We will see you guys later.